we need to understand something called HPA axis, which is this axis becomes hypersensitive because when you are pregnant, the body has a lot of this hormone which is called progesterone. Question is, why do these happen?
Why does postpartum depression, commonly known as PPD or baby blues, why does it happen and what causes these emotional ups and downs?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Vikas. I think, as you rightly mentioned, so this is a great topic which is under discussed normally. That is the postpartum time. So what happens? So a lot is discussed already about pregnancy and the type of things to eat, how to get a very good-looking baby, and so many other things which are there. But what about what happens afterwards? And as you mentioned, like baby blues, and sometimes in the advanced form. So baby blues is something which is extremely common, but it may or may not result in postpartum depression, because postpartum depression is a serious thing that can be a very advanced version of baby blues. Now the question is, why do these happen? So I would talk about three things here. So the first one is, when you are pregnant, the body has a lot of this hormone which is called progesterone. We have spoken about this in our various female health talks that we have done. So the progesterone is naturally high during pregnancy, and that's why when women are pregnant, their mood is always good, they feel happy, they get the pregnancy glow and all those things. So that is thanks to progesterone. But after the delivery, progesterone goes, and then you are coming back to the normalized version of those hormones. So that is number one, that you come from a very high level of a feel good hormone, and a hormone that makes you glow, the hormone that makes you feel just generally very good about life, to a low version of that. So that's number one. Number two, to understand the second point, we need to understand something called HPA axis, which is hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis. Now, what are these three things? They work together. So hypothalamus is the center of your brain, which is responsible for judging ki, am I in some danger? The fear center, the fight or flight center. Like, if anything happens, it wants to activate everything that, okay, like I am in danger, let's get started on something. Pituitary is your master gland, so which will understand, okay, there is fear, there is some threat happening, and I have to take some actions. And adrenals are the one which releases your stress hormones. So what happens when your HPA, so your HPA axis at this time of, when you are just delivered, this axis becomes hypersensitive. Because one, your sleep is getting disturbed all the time. First 6 weeks, first 2 months are quite tough. Like, there is hardly any sleep, and, there is a lot to take care of. It's a little overwhelming, too much change. So inside the tummy, the baby is still, manageable. But outside, it's like, it comes with its own set of demands. And, and especially these demands come at a time when you are very, very sleep deprived. So what happens?
Correct.
It results in an increase in stress in the body. When increase in stress, it results in an increased cortisol level. So HPA axis, adrenal gets activated, they release excess cortisol. Now, when the body is under continuous excess cortisol, it puts a stress on your gut as well. So your gut sometimes, like, what happens is, those tight junctions of the gut, which are supposed to keep the food inside the gut and not in the outside zone, they become leaky. So it is very tightly held junction, the gut, but in times of stress, it is like becoming leaky. वो stress मतलब अपना control थोड़ा उसका leak होना start हो जाता है. And so your high cortisol results in a leaky gut. Now, when the gut becomes leaky, a lot of food items start coming into the bloodstream, which they shouldn't be coming. Correct. Then they come, immune system starts activating ki what is happening in the blood. These are some foreign items in the blood. So it results in increased inflammation in the body. Now with increased inflammation, there is more stress happening. So HP axis is even becoming more sensitive. That okay, something is definitely wrong is happening. I have to do something. Then pituitary says, okay, more cortisol. So वो पूरा एक cycle चल पड़ता है. So your excess stress, more cortisol. More cortisol means more leaky gut. More leaky gut means higher inflammation. Inflammation is like fire in the body. Higher fire means more fear. Then again problem, more fight or flight. Okay, some wrong is happening. There is too much fire happening in the body. So this becomes like a cycle of a hypersensitive HP axis. Now this is extremely common, especially the baby blues are very, very common for the first 15-20 days. But now, depending upon how many proper lifestyle choices you make, they may continue for a long time. So first 10, 15, 20 days will happen with pretty much everyone. But how long they continue depends on what are the other things which are happening in the vicinity. So that is like the point number 2. The first one we discussed was progesterone going down. The second is a hypersensitive HP axis. And the third is because of, which is related to the first, to the HP axis only, because of the leaky gut. The gut's functioning starts becoming a little inferior compared to what it was earlier. And 95% of your serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone, is produced in the gut. So you get attacked by multiple angles on all the feel-good things which were happening. So there was progesterone, which was feel-good, that has gone down post-pregnancy. There is like, your sensitivity around the fight or flight response, lack of sleep causing more cortisol, then, it leading to a hyperactive fear centers, hyperactive fight or flight responses happening in the body. And then because of the leaky gut, your serotonin production goes down, which is the feel-good hormone. So these are the 3 reasons you can think of why baby blues happen, and depending upon how much you are able to help these things come back as soon as to normal, they will continue for that much long time. The longer they continue, the higher intensity they could get. And that is what the purpose of today's discussion is. How do we get these points to normalize as soon as possible?
Right. Priyanka, you will have to explain these steps. What I could understand is that one is that feel-good factor goes down because because there were too many complex names. I'm not able to remember all the names. So feel-good factor hormones goes down, and then due to fight and flight response, cortisol is released, and then we have leaky gut, resulting in again that mood swings, baby blues. But I'm not. If I want to understand in a simple language that what exactly happens in woman's body.
So there are 2 or 3 things happening together in the body at that point in time. So feel good doesn't come from just one hormone. There are multiple, like you have dopamine, you have serotonin, you have progesterone happening. So what happens? Serotonin is going down because there is attack on the gut. Progesterone is going down because pregnancy has ended. And then there is general lack of sleep, which is causing a hyperactive fear centers in the body, which are exacerbating the problem. So that's how, the problem happens.
We can say that too many changes at a time, resulting in mood swings, all the body is changing, and that's why baby blues.
Correct.
Okay. And after the baby is born, early days with newborn can be really overwhelming, but some simple lifestyle habits can actually make it easier.